That is the mud hands.
They're really fun, but like they're also like everyone. And it's just like, or there's like, oh, this is free, and this is it, or this is, and it's just like,
It's just at that point it's like not even.
and like we've been in it for 4 days now, literally. I've like had some major issue with some team every single day, and I'm just like I want to be shot and just like be done, but at the same time,
I call the April 25th, 2019 Peninsula School District Board of Directors regular meeting to order. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
right, thank you. This business meeting of the Board of Directors is being held in public in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act and is being live streamed. With regard to routine matters, board members have reviewed the agenda and have had the opportunity to clarify questions with the superintendent prior to the board meeting. Such matters are often processed without additional comment or debate. We will begin with approval of the agenda. Are there any changes to the agenda? Is there a motion to
I move approval of the agenda.
approve the agenda? Great. Is there a second? Okay. It has been approved by Marcia and seconded by David to approve the agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The agenda has been approved. We are going to start tonight with a special award. It's called the Ellen Fay Award. And I am going to have Christy Rivera come up from Purdy Elementary principal and give us a little information and tell us who our wonderful recipient is.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kristy Rivera, the principal of Purdy Elementary, and we have a special award here for our office manager, Barb Bellamy. I'm going to have her come up here. Award. She has been our office manager for 20 years in the Peninsula School District since August, for over 20 years. Getting there. The position of office manager is a daunting job. Here you come stand by me. Barb does this job with great passion and commitment to excellence. With her ability to prioritize and efficiently manage multiple tasks, you would never know she is supporting a school of over 600 students, 100 staff members, and a large number of people calling and entering the school each day. Barb is the person who keeps Purdy Elementary running. She has the ability to work with minimal supervision and an unwavering commitment. She is able to handle a high-volume workload and consistently meets or surpasses all expectations set in front of her. She knows the names of all of our students. She manages all the money for field trips, purchases all the supplies for our workroom, keeps track of every activity happening in our school, and she keeps the principal and assistant principal and all of our staff on our toes and in line. She also takes the time to greet new families. She takes them on tours. She talks about our community and our schools. And the families often say afterwards how warm and welcome they feel after she takes them on a tour, and that they are so excited to be a part of our community and school. She greatly enhances our school and our community. She's an education profession who makes a difference in the lives of all those she comes in contact with on a daily basis. Together, with all that Barb does, she is always considering what is best for our students. Her unyielding dedication to students and community demonstrates she's an outstanding recipient for the Ellen Fay Award. Congratulations, Barb.
Thank you.
Well, I just thought something was really wrong the other day when everybody came into the staff room, and I mean, not the staff room, the office, because it was just like, oh, wow. I was really shocked. You know, I love my job. And I love it because of the people I work with and the district I work for and the kids. And it's challenging and it's rewarding and it's not easy keeping track of Christy. And
She's not supposed to tell anybody that.
but you know, I've been involved. I started at Jefferson Elementary way back in 1991, and I've just been around these little guys for that long. And I love it, and I love my job, and I love the people I work with, and I thank them for coming here tonight. Their busy schedules. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy, and congratulations, Barb. Just a little bit of history, the Ellen Fay Award. Ellen Fay was an HR employee in our district many years ago. Beloved HR individual who always went out and recognized other people for efforts, and I believe Barb embodies that as a parent that had 3 kids that went through your school. And while you're keeping track of all those kids and all the administrators and everything, you did a good job with parents too. So thank you very much. Thank you. Well deserved. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to Dr. Jarvis's superintendent report.
Thank you, Madam President. Try to make this quick. First would be just a note of appreciation. I too enjoyed the spring break. And I think for a lot of reasons this year, whether it was snow and snow makeup and mixed schedules around the territory, I just saw a lot of people who this week are still recovering from their spring break in the best way possible. So I say that because we are a district that still has the spring break, and it was, I think, perfectly timed, as well as dealing with the flu in the second round and breaking that cycle again. So thank you on behalf of that schedule, on behalf of the staff. 2 items that I would call to the attention of the public and the board. The first is that there is a bond sale on Tuesday morning, April 30th. If any of the public want to be there, it's actually, I think you can be invited. The staff, a couple of us are going to go to see a $85 million bond sale on behalf of the Peninsula School District that will take place in downtown Seattle at 7:30 on Monday morning. So again, all board members are invited, and we'll make sure there's opportunity for transportation if you need that. We just need to be there probably by 7 a.m. on Tuesday, so it'll be an early morning. The second item I would call to everyone's attention is that there is an audit exit conference with our Audit and Finance Committee on Monday, April 29th. And if you're not aware that we do have what's called an Audit and Finance Committee that's made up of both board members and citizens, that opportunity is there. We have an annual audit of the school district finances that's done by the State of Washington Auditor's Office. And each year they do come into the district. They do an audit to make sure that we are doing all things in compliance with board policies and state law and best practice. And so it is, in a way, it's always a pleasure, and I just give Karen Anderson and her whole team great credit because the auditors have continued to be complimentary to the district. And last time I mentioned that in the statement that went with the bond sale, it was noted that our business office was very prudent and that's put the district in good position. So this is another opportunity where the state auditor will present their final report to the board, and it is open. Lastly, I would note that this spring, ever since February 12th and the election, has been wildly crazy in a very good fashion. So just about everywhere you go in the district, there, whether it's Evergreen or Artendale or out on the Harbor Hills North site or over on number 10, you see stakes in the ground and orange flags and orange paint on the sidewalk, and you see surveyors and you see things happening, and it really has taken a very lively life. Those 17 consultant contracts that you let here a while back have been actively doing their work. And so I report to you that at this point we have 4 schools that we promised to the public, and we are on schedule, and I hope to be able to say that for the next year or better. We will continue to be there, and we are continuing to look at the fall of 2020 for the opening of school number 10 and the fall of 2021 for the opening of school number 9, Artendale, and Evergreen. So I hope I can keep repeating that phrase over and over and over. It is, it's really a delight to be able to see the progress. With that, I would conclude my report to the board.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to our student representatives, our 3 seniors that I'm sure are busy right now. Thank you for being here tonight. We'll start with Kayci Guiberson from Henderson Bay High School. Oh, just a second. Bye, go celebrate, feel better. Thank you.
So my comments actually kind of a gift to the board, but I brought in a box of water bottles over there, and it was an idea actually from my teacher Peter, and he noticed that we had water bottles every meeting, and he thought it would be really cool if we had like reusable water bottles we could use to limit the amount of like plastic water bottles that we use, you know. So I'm gonna pass them out to you guys.
I love that. And board members, we'll do our best of bringing them in filled up because we don't really have them.
Yes, fill it
And,
up,
because I'm not gonna ask Brooke to do that.
No.
So, but yeah, what a fantastic idea.
I just want to say I don't use this much plastic. This is
Perfect.
yep. Oh, thank you. This is fancy.
I love those.
They're so
Thanks, Kayci.
it's beautiful.
And Kayci, you guys are all getting ready for end of school year and graduation? Yes? Thank you.
Thank you.
Please thank who is it that? Peter. Peter, please thank him. And like I said, we will do our best in bringing these back every week versus the water bottles. So thank you very much.
Yes,
Very
of
thoughtful.
course.
Okay. And Emily Johnson from Gig Harbor High School.
So we kind of have a lot of events coming up at our school. First, this coming Friday, I guess tomorrow, we have Mr. Gig Harbor, which is our boys pageant, which will be featuring, I think, about 7 seniors and juniors in our auditorium, which would cost $5 to get in. Next, Saturday, May 18th, at Peninsula will be our dance team's WOW show, which will feature some teams from around the district, such as our cheer team, Peninsula's dance and cheer team, and other studios from around us, as well as some student choreography from my school. Next, tomorrow at Samel at 4 is our boys baseball senior night, where we can see if they'll clinch our league title for our school. Next, we have the one-act play, which is May 16th and 17th at Gig Harbor High School, which there's about 5 student-directed one-act plays. Finally, we have a fundraiser starting next Monday called Tots for Tots. It's put on by Leadership for a local organization, where in our third period we'll be collecting diapers, and the winning team gets a party of Mexi fries from Taco Time.
Thank you. Okay, and Zeporah Payne from Peninsula High School.
So just recently we had to take out one of our parking lots, and it left a lot of the students, especially the sophomores, pretty sad, because now it's kind of chaotic around Peninsula fighting for parking spots. You guys know how that is, and we're hoping that we can get a parking lot somewhere in the future. Auto Safety Week is going to be pretty big, and out of honor of Colin James, we're going to continue the mock trial, but we're going to do it considerably. We had a few groups go to pretty cool places. We had a few people go to Washington, D.C. We had a small group go to Belize, and band went to New York. I'm excited to say that the musical is going to be awesome, and I think you guys should all come to it. The opening night is May 3rd, and other days are May 4th, May 5th, May 5th, May 9th, May 10th, and May 11th. This is going to be a really good play, and you don't want to miss it. I'm telling you, like, no, actually, it's gonna be amazing, and I'm not just saying that because I'm in it, but like, it's gonna be good. I promise you. I won't disappoint. Okay. We had an Earth Day pledge during lunch where we had people just walk up to the table and just dip their hands in paint and just put their hands on the wall and pledge to just try to do better for our Earth, be greener, recycle more. I even got my counselor to do it, and she's not really one to get her hands dirty, literally. So I thought that was a pretty good accomplishment. And lastly, it's election week for our new ASB officers, and it's kind of bittersweet because I'm gonna miss being an ASB officer. It was kind of like yesterday that I got elected, and now I'm about to graduate, which is like the good part, but also I'm growing up. I gotta start adulting soon. You know, like you know how it's a. Oh my gosh! Don't whoa! All right. I'm ending with that. Thank you. Okay.
Zeporah, the play is Once Upon a...
Once on this island.
Okay, very good. Thank
It's gonna
you.
be amazing.
Enjoy your last few months of being Peninsula and Gig Harbor and Henderson Bay students, and thank you very much. Okay, any questions for the students? No? Okay. No one signed up for comments from the community. Is there anyone that would speak? No? Good. We will move on to old business approval of the magnet school concept. I'm going to ask Dr. Jarvis to please provide us with some information on this item before we discuss.
This is the decision point for the board after many, many weeks, if not months, of discussion and comment. For public consumption in particular, and a reminder to anyone that may not have had the chance to follow this discussion, the passage of the bond issue enabled the launch of 2 additional elementary schools. So we currently have 8 elementary schools. With the addition of number 9 and number 10, we would have 10 elementary schools. The school district owned the site on the Harbor Hills North, and that site was slated for what we were calling new elementary school number 9. The 10th elementary, which was when we made the proposal to add 2 elementaries, became what is the other site potential, and that was the Busich site, was examined and found for a variety of reasons to be wanting. In particular, a certain element raises its head, and that is the urban growth zone and where schools can be built and where the housing growth occurs. And in I guess a funny technicality is you're not allowed to build a school outside of the urban growth zone that serves students inside the urban growth zone. So that very fact, along with some other elements, caused us to look around and purchase a site. And that site that we purchased was, as most people know, the home of the Boys and Girls Club. That site gave us several advantages, one of which was a building that was already had a number of rooms designed as classrooms. It was a building already built and permitted and gave us some flexibility. And in essence, it took at least 2 years off the construction schedule, even with the addition to school number 10. The reason I give that background is that there aren't a lot of sites that you can just look up and say, hey, I'll take one of those and one of those and one of those, and they're all going to be in the right place. Secondly, that our growth and overcrowding has been throughout the system. And that particular set of comments is really behind why the recommendation for a school of choice, as I was referring to it originally, and then talking about it as a magnet school. Because the magnet school allowed us to do boundary changes for number 9, but not do a second set of boundary changes that had to reach throughout the school district and forcibly move families from where they are to one of the 2 new schools. So we were able not only to avoid a major redistricting, which would have left in some certainly unhappiness of moving that many students around in the system, but it also opened the door to people being able to consider whether or not in a magnet school, whether that magnet school was something that would be something they want for their child, or whether the children themselves say that's something I would enjoy. So what we have done in processing this is to bring to the board tonight ultimately the decision of, would you approve a magnet school which would draw from around the district rather than a boundaried school for number 10, and that's the recommendation in front of you this evening. Inherent in that, and talked about in the last couple months, was the fact that what we would do then is we will name a planning principal, we will get on with the naming of the school, we will launch the school to be ready in the fall of 2020. But this spring, we would also identify, if you said, yes, we can go ahead with a magnet school, we would then turn the planning principal loose, along with others of us, to really complete the planning for what that magnet program would be and what the focus. And as you know, we had looked at the potential really of a community-based kind of program, a STEM or a STEAM school. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. STEAM adds an A for arts in that, it becomes STEAM. Or the third choice was whether to look at an arts school with a focus on the arts. So what we've chosen to do at this point is to first separate just the concept of having a magnet school and drawing from around the district. And I have noted in my previous comments that it is no small feat in the Peninsula School District because of our separate peninsulas, because of the distance, because of the spit, because of just the pure geography of our district, to try to figure out how to do that and do it well for all kids. Without revisiting all of that planning, it is really my recommendation continues that to ask you to approve a magnet school this evening, also to recommend to you in the next item of business the planning principle for that school, and to really launch school number 10 in this approximately 15 months that we have between now and opening it in the fall. And I guess I close that again with the note that that places us about 2 years ahead of where we dreamed we would be. And the gift of that 2 years is immense. We're growing rapidly. We're not quite sure how many are going to show up this fall in kindergarten, but Vicki Smith, who does the checking for us, we're already on the sign up for kindergartners, and we are, I believe that we're now 83 students above, Vicki, the number, if you remember the. We're heading toward, this year was the largest kindergarten class that we had in, and we're now headed for one that will be larger. And so I say all of that in terms of opening school number 9 and 10 and this continuing flow of children into the district and the overcrowding. And the gift of school number 10 in the fall of 2020 is truly wonderful. The gift of the Boys and Girls Club this fall to assist us in the fall of 19. All seems to be, in some ways, there's a star that's in a little angel that's looking over our shoulders. And I guess without waxing more verbose, I do recommend to you that and ask you to approve the magnet concept for school number 10. I'd be happy to answer other questions if possible.
In a motion, do we need to clarify a date for the implementation of the magnet school? I mean, clarify that it's not this next year?
Yes, and I think that's a good clarification. So this fall, the fall of 19, we're using the Boys and Girls Club for overload. And for anyone who may not have followed that, we have 4 classrooms coming out of Discovery and the very overloaded Discovery. And we have 4 classrooms of preschoolers coming out, 2 out of Harbor Heights and 2 out of Purdy. So collectively, we have 8 classrooms that we're using the Boys and Girls Club for this fall. And as you know, the projection is for 10 more classrooms for the fall of 2020. So being able to open the Boys and Girls Club and then open it fully in the fall of 2020 with the addition gives us the ability to house another 550 students that fall. And that's where, so the effective date of the magnet program would be from tonight on as we talk about number 10, but the actual opening would be for the fall of 2020.
So with that, is there a motion to approve the magnet school concept for elementary school number 10 opening in the fall of 2020?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who's second? Leslie. Leslie? Thank you, Leslie. Okay. Is there any discussion prior to the vote? Okay. It has been moved by David and seconded by Leslie to approve the magnet school concept for elementary school number 10, opening the fall of 2020. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion has been approved. Next.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for all of the work and information that you've provided the board to get us to where we are today. So thank you very much. Confident. With that, we'll move on to new business and the recommendation for elementary school number 10, planning principal.
The step you just took was conceptual. The step in the planning up to now is conceptual. I think this is the moment where we put a face and begin a real school. The very first employee of school number 10, which part of that work will be to work with the naming committee, to work with the Ed Specs committee, to work with all of the ins and outs of, and bring back to the board the recommendation on a theme, to work with the staff on the how would we carry out the transportation plan and the plan for the lottery and the plan for how students get there, and all of that immediately falls on the face of, on the back of the planning principle. It is my true pleasure. We advertised, and this is one of those times I wish we had multiple jobs and I could hire multiple people to carry out the dreams and make it into the wonderful place that it can be for children. It is my pleasure to recommend a planning principle, and I want to read just a quick excerpt from a summary of qualifications. A passionate educator with multiple years of experience as a skilled administrator and dynamic teacher leader. Data-driven collaborator, dedicated to fostering a positive and professional climate, increasing student achievement through instructional leadership, intentional systems, constructive partnerships, and resourceful programs. I would like to introduce to you and recommend the selection for the planning principal for school number 10, Ms. Stephanie Strader. Stephanie, would you stand? I think I'll invite you.
How long can you hold your breath?
Apparently a long time. Am I supposed to say something?
Can I add one?
Please.
Yes.
So, as I spoke this afternoon, as I spoke to the Harbor Heights group this afternoon, one of the things I noticed was that our last elementary number opened in 1992, Vaughn Elementary School, and one of the second grade students was Stephanie Tatchell. Stephanie Strader was, and she went on to KPMS, to Peninsula High School, worked at Purdy and at Harbor Heights. Who better to lead the magnet school that's going to be pulling from all over the district? So we're very fortunate and lucky. So now you get to talk.
Thank
Thank you.
This is a little bit surreal. As I told the interview team this week, first off, so spring break was last week. I was in Arizona with my family, hit submit on the application, and then here we go, Monday, interview, Wednesday, interview, and we're here today. But as I told the interview team, I had to be very certain that this was something I was passionate about and felt I had a skill set for, because what I'm leaving behind is truly something remarkable. I've been at Harbour Heights for 5 years, and we have just developed into the most amazing team. But I went into this because I am a product of Peninsula Schools, having graduated, having grown up here, having been intrigued in this community forever. I am so excited to build some future for our kids that we have not had the opportunity to have yet. And that's why I stand before you here today. I am humbled, I am honored, I am excited, I'm terrified. I am all of those things, and just, I'm really honored to be here. So thank you for the consideration and the offer, and let's do this. This is 15 months.
Well, thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Stephanie.
With that, we will then bring it back to the board. Is there a motion to approve Stephanie Strader as the planning principal for elementary school number 10?
Ooh, I want to make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right.
I want to second it.
Unanimous second.
Yes, exactly. It's been moved by Leslie and seconded by many. Let's say Lori, to approve Stephanie Strader as our planning principal for school number 10. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion has been approved, and congratulations. Good work. Thanks, Stephanie. Okay.
Hey, John, when
I
did she
forgot
start?
the discussion, but I think we're okay.
After school starts or before? After school ends, when would she start?
Oh, thank you.
Tomorrow. Okay. We'll move on to information items. We have the hazard mitigation plan update. Karen Anderson will now give the board an update on the hazard mitigation plan. This is information item only. Is that? Sure. Okay.
I typed it up, but I don't remember what I typed.
It'll all come back to you.
Yeah. The hazard mitigation plan it's technically a 5-year plan, and it's updated on a regular basis. And the current plan that's in existence expires in 2020. And so they are currently, this team, this group that's working for the region, and we're part of that team. They are working to update the hazard mitigation plan for the next 5 years, starting in 2021. And so they're in the process of updating, and we wanted to make you aware of that. They anticipate to be done with the plan in December, so that we will be bringing you the plan sometime in January for approval. Once you approve that, actually it's submitted to the federal government for them to review. Then once they review that and they accept it, then it comes back to our boards in each of the jurisdictions within the plan. They take it to their boards. So I believe we'll be bringing it to you probably in April of 2020. April 2020, yes.
Okay.
Next April. So, for approval. And then that will be the 5-year plan for the next 5 years. So, okay.
Good. Thank you. See?
Mhm.
You're nodding. Thank you, Karen. Donations received between $250 and $4,999. There's a list received from September 1, 2018 through March 31, 2019 in the amount of between $250 and $4,999. That has been given to the board as an information item. Is there any discussion on the list of donations?
I just think it's amazing how generous our community is to all of our schools. a list.
Quite a list. Anything else? Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a discussion on the consent agenda prior to the vote? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Seconded.
Okay. You guys make my job easy. It's been moved by David and seconded by Lori to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The consent agenda has been approved. Okay, we'll move on to the board discussion and comments. Marcia, you want to start?
Actually, let me
No?
organize
Yeah?
my thoughts just a sec.
David?
Seems like we've got a school board meeting every week, so.
You did.
So last week, we didn't have a school board meeting, and I and I know others on the board attended the Region 3 WASDA conference meeting, or the WASDA Region 3 meeting last Thursday over at Curtis High School. It was very informative, and I'm really glad I attended. And it's nice to have Tim Grushow, says
Marcia.
Huh?
Marcia.
Karsha, always
Karsha.
mispronounce.
G.
Always mispronounce his name. He recently moved to Gig Harbor, so it's nice to have him locally. I keep running into him in the store, but, so anyway, I attended that. I just would like to know, how do I chaperone the next trip to Belize? What'd you do there? We talk after.
We'll talk.
Okay. Lori?
That'd be cool, though. Real cool.
Oh, I have been watching some fantastic spring sports this week. We were talking earlier. I think yesterday was the quintessential spring sports day at Peninsula High School. There was a track meet. There was tennis going on. There was a baseball game between Gig Harbor and Peninsula for potentially the league championship, which they traded leads 4 times, and it was a 1-point win for Gig Harbor at the end. But it was just what makes, I think, school. It was just what makes it great, to root for the kids. And there was so many people there, and so many cars in the parking lot that's no longer there. I don't know. But so that was just exciting. It was a fun time, as you guys said, to be around the schools. And then the only other thing I just wanted to mention was I'm excited about the going forward with School 10 and about Stephanie. And just for the sake of comment for the public, I just wanted to assure persons going forward that it will be our intent to seek plenty of input and thoughts regarding themes for School 10, and that is not something we're going to do on our own. And Stephanie's excited for whatever direction, I think. I have not spoken to her, but I'm assuming. She looks excited. Yeah. So that it's just an exciting time to be a part of something new, something that, our goal all along has been to provide the schools to ease the overcrowding. And now we're taking a step toward that, so I'm excited.
I like the Curious George name.
Yeah, I know. I'd like it to be named Curious George.
Yes, I had the pleasure of attending our Region 3 meeting with David and Marcia, and lots of really great information. It's always great to visit other schools and see what other districts are doing. I think the thing that I was most excited about is WASDA is now developing a Budget 101 course. It is research-based, and I think it's something that they're going to slowly start to roll out, and it's super exciting. They are also sort of expanding their board assessment and trying to create more of a loop. So instead of the boards just filling out the form, they're going to create this informational loop so we can actually pull apart and assess that information and see where WASDA can fit in and provide classes and perhaps other services to help us become a better board. And I hope that that is something that we can discuss further maybe over the summer during a study session. I think that would be really great. And, they've just become, over the past many years, have really grown and developed, I think, over the past 10 years to be a really strong resource for us. And I hope that we can utilize them more often. Oh, and they also have something for, was it the hosted school? Did they have something about onboarding, right? New board members, and I think that's something we should be looking at and developing, or maybe borrowing or asking their permission to have. I think that would be a really great thing for our board as well. Yeah, 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 yeah. Not just for the appointed board members, but you know what I mean.
Exactly.
Right.
All right, Marcia?
Okay, I'm ready. Just looking at what we did, and I want to reiterate what Leslie just said about that Region 3 that the three of us attended. It was very beneficial. Lots of good news and good educational opportunities coming up for all board members, so that's exciting. I think the big thing is this past week I spent 3 days working on ed specs with various groups in the district, which is sometimes exciting and sometimes not so much. But you start hearing sort of some perspectives on every kind of thing from, you know, cubbies to windows to access to hallways and other classrooms. And so today we did modeling of the relationships between the various classrooms in the building and putting those together. And there was a good deal of consideration given to looking at 2 floors for an elementary school instead of just one. So that will be interesting and lots more work to follow before we get to the end. That pretty much sums it up. I thought I was doing some other things, but I guess not. Worked with PSEF on, I wanted to mention that the Peninsula Schools Education Foundation is, the applications are open to complete grants. These are grants for next year, and thank you, Dan, for getting it in the information out to teachers and Art a couple of times, and a reminder, they're due on the 30th, right, 1st, yeah, I don't know, May 1st. Anyway, and so the Education Foundation will be reviewing those grants in May, and we want teachers to be able to find out who has a grant for spending for next year before they leave school for the summer, so.
All right, thank you. A couple of things. I was in, I think you were as well, Leslie. We attended CAPE.
Oh,
yeah, you were Kate. Fun. I think this is the 5th, I think. So it continues to be an amazing event. Lots of young girls there working on hands-on experience. It was fun to see BCRA there and the kids designing elementary school or schools. I don't know if it's elementary school specifically, but they came up with some fun ideas that maybe we could work into. It was also fun. Rachel Sleater, she's a parent in the district. She's a U.S. geologist, but she has the sandbox table. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if you haven't, you need to see it. It's pretty amazing. It's a sandbox, and it projects down of elevations, and it simulates weather and flooding, and she's donating it to Harbor Ridge now. I think she's donated the use of it and it's going to Harbor Ridge. But and many other community members there, it amazes me the people that want to partner with our district. And so it's great that we're giving them this opportunity to do that, and the kids really enjoyed it, and the things that they're getting to see is just amazing. So also Art has started his superintendent on the corners. We've had one, I think, and we'll have more. I think they'll start getting more, and we're getting out, and more people will be there. But it was really good. The people that did attend, I followed up with them. They thought it was very beneficial, great opportunity to ask Art anything. So thank you for doing those and making yourself available to the community that way. I was over at Gig Harbor High School, and I did mock interviews through their CCFAE program. And we interviewed high school students that are actually going out to get jobs current jobs, not like a futuristic, what I'm going to work at someday. So it was really fun, and I got to give feedback on how they could go out and present themselves. Pretty impressive. I don't remember being that impressive as a high schooler, so these kids are pretty darn fantastic. And then I think all of us, as usual, with the Healthy Youth Survey, are always kind of taken aback by those numbers. And I went out and talked to a lot of students and parents and the drug use specifically, especially. Talking to students, while those numbers were shocking to us, they said those numbers are low. It's much more prevalent in our schools than even noted on that survey, according to the kids. I also talked to a lung surgeon that I know very well, and he said vaping is bad. It's as bad as smoking, if not worse, and we need to do what we can to help these kids. So I hope that we can think about that as we move forward, and I just wanted to thank the district for looking at that closer and putting resources toward that and education of that, because I think we got to keep these kids healthy as well as teaching them. But
and I think it's important to note too that when Aaron and Becky were presenting with the Healthy Youth Survey, you know, they're well aware of it. They are trying to bolster our counseling staff in a way that will serve our students best. So, yeah.
So thank you to the district for really looking at that. Yeah, I think that's all. All right. We will be going into executive session to discuss the collective bargaining update. There will be no decisions made after the meeting. We will go into executive session for 15 minutes.